Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroad where change is evident once again.
Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroad where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future, shedding away the layers of deceit.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition, and we are not exempt from this remarkable ongoing reality. Yeah. Well, hello. I'm not quite sure if the audio is working. Let's check this out, because the intro didn't sound like it was actually going. It sounds like it is here. The microphone's going. Let's see here. I'm going to make sure that. Oh, yeah, it's going.
It's going?
It's going.
Okay.
I don't know why the intro didn't make sounds. But anyway, welcome to Transition Radio Show.
Welcome.
Real Talk with the Cummings.
We're in Mount Everest today.
Yes, we are. We climbed it and came back and saw the view.
I feel like we're climbing Mount Everest.
Yeah. We've been taking on little projects for changing our life as you know it.
Yeah. Major changes coming in the future.
Major changes. All good, of course. All very exhilarating things.
We haven't really kept up with any of the craziness that's going on around us with the political nut job that's over there in Washington.
Yep.
And all of his crazy friends. So this show isn't about anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, we did want to say, because we did listen a little bit today when we were having dinner, the plans that the oligarchies have, to steal more money and claim that they're cleaning up the swamp. Actually what they're doing is taking from the poor to give to the rich, opposite of what Robin Hood did. He took from
basically,
the rich.
Yeah. They're just wanting to steal money away from people that need it, especially people that are disabled, that need the assistance,
like your grandma. Retired. Your grandma might not have Social Security.
Grandma paid into Social Security all those years. Daddy paid into Social Security all those years, and now Elon Musk says he wants it all for himself.
Yeah, and it's not like they're giving people anything, because people have earned that money. It's a right. And if they want to see civil unrest, that'll be one way of really
but maybe that's what they're pushing is for a total revolution, and a breakdown of our systems of government, completely,
and a total authoritarian type of rule, which is that's what they want. They really just want a total, totalitarian type of thing, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of what happened in Cuba when I was a kid. There was a revolution, and people thought that Castro was the right choice. And I think in the beginning he might have been, but things got a little murky, and the United States helped make it murky by creating sanctions and not allowing the country to have resources. And so I think Castro was kind of maybe forced to go into the communist route. But either way, people thought that Castro was their savior.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't turn out so well. And I hope that's not what's going to take place here. Many of you people believe that Trump is your savior and he's going to make everything better for you. But last I checked, the eggs are still going up. Gas pump is going up. The prices of the gas pump is going up. So it's not really helping anyone. And they're firing people all over the place, removing all sorts of...
Really making the United States even more unsafe.
Totally unsafe. So
we're getting everybody on the world stage to hate us. And that's not going to bode well for the United States. I mean, watch that movie that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama put together. And when the United States was attacked, it wasn't attacked by just one country.
Yeah.
It was a slew of countries. Like, in that movie, it was like they were getting attacked by the Iranians on one side and then by the Chinese on the other side of the country. And, this is really getting people upset. They're going to raise tariffs supposedly on
April 2nd.
Cars,
Yeah.
April 2nd. So purchasing a car in this country is going to cost a lot more because they're going to put taxes on probably Japan and other countries.
Purchasing just about anything, because we don't make anything here. That's a scary thing, that we get our material goods from elsewhere. The Mexican president is pissed off at this country, so she's planning not to have any purchase of anything that's made in the U.S. That's going to really, cause a lot of problems here. And I mean, it's just, instead of playing along, they're like creating such turmoil, and it's going to come back and bite us in the where. And it's pretty sad, but not surprising, because the God of this world, which is what the topic of today's show is, the reality of the world you live in and its rulers, the archons, and your Yahweh God is one of those archons, really don't want things to be nice and cozy for us. They've always made everything impossible and hard for us from the very beginning.
Yeah, because when it comes down to it, the earth is not our home. Our spirits are not at home on this planet. This planet is not the Eden that they said it was.
Yeah.
In the Bible, it says, God created the earth in 7 days and put all these wonderful things on it. Of course, thorns for the roses and poisonous snakes. But, you got to look past all that.
Right.
You got to look past the poisonous mushroom and
all the viruses and bacteria,
poison dart frogs, and But so we don't have the right idea of what we were actually intended for. It's not to be human, actually. It's not to be, a physical body. It's really not just about that.
No. So anyway, you've been lied to since birth. Everything you've been taught about this world, what it is, who created it, why you're here, has been manufactured to keep you ignorant, controlled, and enslaved. Every major religion, every political system, every so-called truth, quote unquote, about life has been engineered to maintain a single horrifying reality. You're not free, have never been free. This world is not a gift, it is a trap. The air you breathe, the body you inhabit, the time that passes, none of it belongs to you. Everything about its existence as you.
No, it is designed to keep you locked inside an invisible prison created and maintained by entities who rule from the shadows. These entities are not gods and they are not angels. They are archons, the rulers of this false reality. And they do not serve your interests. Their power structure is ancient, predating every civilization we know. Their influence is total, reaching across all religions, governments, institutions, and even your own perceptions. The Gnostic texts uncovered in a Nag Hamedy in 1945, they describe these entities in terrifying detail. But I was going to I was gonna
okay,
say something.
Uh-huh.
I was gonna say something. I mean, we can finish. The air you breathe.
Yeah.
The concept that the air you breathe is actually not something that you're guaranteed to be able to, like if you were really free, why do you need oxygen? Because I mean,
what do you need food?
Why would you need something to sustain you? Like if oxygen, like I remember when I worked in television, they had these monitors that would suck the oxygen out of a room if the control room caught fire, so that it could like keep the equipment from getting burned up, because oxygen wouldn't allow for the fire to go. So if you were caught inside that building and it locked itself up, then you could die from lack of oxygen, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, how is it that we're created by this benevolent God, yet he makes us breathe oxygen, which makes
us dependent on everything. And that's the whole thing. When you finish here, then I go. It's like,
no, I know, but the sentence.
I know. That's
what
I told you earlier. Just flow with it.
I know.
Okay. So anyway, everything gets taxed, charged, dependent. There's nothing about this planet and our existence that breathes a sigh of fresh air. Everything is problematic, worrisome. Talking about worrisome, the wars. There's just nothing easy. Everything is pretty hard. So entities in terrifying details, they are the architects of the matrix, the ones who created the material world as a containment zone for human souls. In their Apocryphon of John, one of the oldest surviving texts from the 2nd century, it is written that God of this world is not the true creator. He is a fraud, a tyrant, a blind and arrogant creator who made this realm not out of love, but out of control. The ancients knew this. Gnostic, the Cathars, the Asses, they all warned us of an imposter deity, a force that
pretends to be divine, but is actually malevolent. They called it the demiurge, the false creator, the god of this world, who rules not with wisdom, but with deception. The demiurge and its archons did not create this world to be a paradise. They created it to be a farm system where your emotions, your suffering, your very existence are used as fuel to keep them in power. They feed on fear, war, division, and trauma. Every major event in history that has led to mass suffering that wasn't just human failure.
Right. And, we really go back into this and dig deep. Like every emotion, every suffering, every existence, everything is fueled. I mean, you turn on the news, every little thing that happens, the wars, the weather condition. I've always told you, I believe the weather is being controlled by these deities. All this, like, whether it's like storms and fires and like things that are like totally strange. It's like, all I could think of is these Greek gods looking down on this dome and making things happen.
I mean, what comes to my mind is the latest movie from the series of what is it, the movie we saw where they were, I'm trying to remember that movie. It's like a series of movies.
Oh, the gods. I forgot the name.
No, the one where the woman is like from a peasant part of the country and comes to fight in the arena and actually, like, it's a fight for survival because whoever loses.
The Hunger Games?
Yeah, the Hunger Games. So the latest Hunger Games, they would show that they would be put in these different environments and that they would create like a rainstorm where they would make,
Exactly. Yeah. And that's exactly what I believe that takes place. It's like every disaster that we've ever experienced as a species, every storm, every drought, everything is controlled by these archons. They control your thoughts, they control your feelings because they feed off our emotions.
And it could, you can also think of it in a way that's like, oh, how is that even possible? But all you have to do is look at the parasites that live inside your body.
Yeah.
And the parasites that are outside of your body that,
literally control your thoughts, control
yeah.
everything. So, it's not far-fetched at all to say they are making this happen.
Mm-hmm.
They're making this, whatever's going on in the world right now, our division, our angst, it's all orchestrated by these archons. This was designed to think about it. That was this by design. Think about it. The Roman Empire didn't just conquer lands. It destroyed ancient spiritual traditions that threatened the power of the rulers. The Catholic Church didn't just spread religion and centralized control, erasing all teachings that spoke of escaping the material realm, because there is a way to escape this material realm, but they don't want you to know that. The Dark Ages weren't just a historical accident. They were a period where the last remnants of forbidden knowledge were simultaneously burnt. This has been happening for thousands and thousands of years, this control mechanism.
That concept of the Black Ages, the Black,
Dark Ages.
The Dark Ages, right? You think of it like it's the opposite, because the period of enlightenment was being snuffed out.
Yeah.
It wasn't that the Dark Ages, some evil, druids and these witches and these esoteric ancient people were being wiped out because they were evil and stuff.
Mm-mm.
But it was because the Roman Catholic Church, which was the evil, was actually, so it's like whatever is right is wrong, whatever is light is dark.
Yeah,
it's like
opposite. They switch it all around.
The Gnostic texts talk about, that those things that you would think are the evil things are the things of the light.
Yeah, because they don't want us, like in the Genesis, what do you call it, tale. They make the snake be the bad guy, but the snake was actually the good guy. The snake was trying to tell us.
But then they confused themselves, because in the story of Moses putting a bronze idol of a snake on a staff,
which is
and that the people would look at it and will be healed. But it's like, I thought in Exodus 20 it said, "Thou shalt not make any graven images." Yeah. But then they're there in the wilderness making a staff and a snake, and this God is inflicting death from these poisonous snakes that are somehow invading the camp.
Yeah, I
guess this God gets mad at the people.
Well, it's just like Archon leader, because I think Yahweh is one of the head honchos of the council of the Archons,
or the loudest.
He gets off on this whole torturing and hurting us and making us gravel and making himself feel like he's the Almighty. Confusing. I mean, what he did to Adam and Eve was, was very wrong. He literally trapped them in this garden, and then, gave him all these rules, which then he knew they wouldn't keep. So then he could just kick them out.
And think about that word. We're not talking about a nice garden, tending, beautiful flowers. Think guard, as in Guard, and in. That means that you're guarded inside.
Yeah.
It's like they said that the garden was a hedge that was a containment place, not a place. I mean, it wasn't like Adam and Eve in the story were placed there in order to live their lives and just pick grapes from the vine.
Yeah, to till the earth.
Yeah, they were put in there. The Bible says that they were put in there to tend
to the garden,
and
the animal.
To work,
to
labor in this garden.
Yeah.
So it says, no, we read that part.
No, I finished here. Your control mechanism. Now you go here.
Evolves. Oh, okay. Evolves, but the goal remains the same: keep humanity ignorant, suffering, and enslaved. The archons are not physical beings, but interdimensional parasites. operating through systems of control institutions, and even human hosts. The Gnostic texts describe them as soulless, artificial entities that lack true creative power.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have a heart.
No.
They're not in any way, shape, or form.
And they're parasites.
Yeah.
Just like, they're
more like AI.
Yeah, that's what they say, artificial entities.
Instead, they imitate, distort, and corrupt. They insert themselves into governments, religions, corporations, media, anywhere they can shape perception and direct human energy toward division.
So imagine that. Government. What does that ring with bell, right? What is happening now? Religious, institution, corporations, media. I mean, the movie They Live pretty much explains that when they would wear the glasses and they would see this like reptile type of beings who were controlling the media. They were working for the news station and, they were controlling everything, and then consume. They would put those glasses on and they would see all these hidden signs.
I wish they could put modern twist to that movie.
Yeah, that would be a really good movie. They might. Conflict and submission. This is why suffering never ends. I mean, think about it. How many people, from the moment you are born to the moment that you die, like really to have a hard think of this, is your life cozy? There's always some sort of either argument, conflict, you're in traffic, you get sick, somebody dies. I mean, there's always something.
You go to a pharmacy and they are working their butts off in the back. It could be as quiet as anything inside the actual stores, like maybe 3 or 4 heads walking around.
Yeah.
You go back to the pharmacy, it's like a
worker bees.
It's like a factory Amazon package delivery place, because there's never any hesitation, no stoppage. I mean, they literally have to like take a certain time of the day off in order for everyone to leave.
Have lunch.
And the pharmacy's closed because once they get back,
it's back
to the factory farm.
And then you look, because sometimes we do pick up for a certain company that we deliver pharmaceuticals to people. And as you look, and there's like this a whole bunch of prescriptions, and it's like prescription after prescription. It's like people have become drug addicts.
People are driving through, waiting in their car, like, to wait for a drive-through. There's people waiting in line. Walmarts, they're always packed.
Always.
You go to like
department.
Costco.
Yeah, pharmacy department, always lines. It's like, is that natural? Is that normal? You're not meant to take medication. So anyway, suffering never ends. This is why every system, capitalism, communism, monarchy, democracy, dictatorship, ultimately lead to the same results. And we fight one another. Oh, communism is bad. Oh, this is bad. But it's all the same, results, exploitation, war, and suffering. It's not the system that matters. The rules never change. This world is not a battleground between good and evil. It is a rigged game. And they make you believe that it's between good and evil. It's rigged. Both teams belong to the same, owner, where one side holds all the power and the other is trapped in an illusion of choice. Every generation is born into the same cycle, taught to obey, conditioned to accept force, and forced to work. Now, think about it. They say, well, communism is bad. Yeah, but capitalism is just as bad because they make you a slave to your toys, to your material needs.
Well, you think about it. Capitalism taken to its extreme becomes communism.
Yeah.
Communism taken to its extreme becomes capitalism, because it's like these systems are like, they're like cyclical. They all are of the same like substance, it's all about greed or something. I don't know,
and
but
control and power.
Yeah. So you have like capitalism, which evolved from like monarchical feudalism, which was like, the peasant working for the king. And now the people work for the company, and so it's like, did we really change? We don't have of course now we have a king here.
Yeah.
We have a king now. King King Trump.
Right.
We have a king.
I wanted to say, remember that movie we watched when we were on vacation? It was like this plantation owner that had all these slaves, and then
Jones, something,
and then all of a sudden they wanted to provide some incentive because
they created fake money the people to trade,
right, and gave them the illusion that they were being part of the business, and it's like
they were being fleeced.
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, this is kind of like what they make you think here in this corporate world.
The Jones plantation.
You work, you make money, you buy stuff, but then they put you in so much debt that you're up to here, so you have to work more, and they keep dangling the carrot stick.
Make sure you have good insurance. Because if you get sick and you don't have insurance, that's it.
That's it.
They're not gonna do any treatment for you. Some people I've seen, they kick out of a hospital.
Literally. Or you owe your life to these institutions where you have to literally mortgage your home, do something, or take a second mortgage.
I mean, if I didn't have Minnesota insurance when I got in my accident 10 years ago, the helicopter fee back then in and of itself was $50,000.
I know.
How was the person supposed to, they're already invalid.
Right.
How are they supposed to pay for that?
And then one night in a hospital could run you $2,000.
Oh, and no paramedic is linked to the hospital in your given area. They work as independent contractors.
Yeah.
You pay them once they show up at your door. You're not getting
insurance. Ain't going to cover that.
Insurance going to cover that.
No, I mean,
it's like
once upon a time,
such a system rigged.
Once upon a time, insurance was decent, but not anymore. Is my right?
No,
it's okay.
Then discarded at the end of their usefulness. The ancient Gnostics knew this. That's why they were hunted down and exterminated. That's why their texts were buried for nearly 2,000 years. The rulers of this world, they don't want you to know that the true battle is not between nations, not between races, and not between ideologies. The true battle is between those who control the system and those who wake up and escape it. If you were never meant to serve them, your soul does not belong in this artificial broken realm. And the problem is that they get us to think that this is all there is. Yeah. They get us to want everything that this broken realm has to offer. And the reality is, the more in love you are with this broken realm, the less you are able to detach yourself from it. Mm-hmm. And that's not just for the here and now. Mm-hmm. That's in the future when you, quote unquote, die.
Yeah.
And they say, come over here. Your grandma's here. Your grandpa's here. Jesus.
Yeah.
Follow
the white light.
There's Gandhi. Oh, there's Buddha. Yeah. It's like, wait, no, I want to go through that crack in the ceiling and
away from all of
here.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like a recycle station. You die, you see that white light? That means you're being born again. It's like, whoop, there to pull you out.
Again.
Yeah.
Born again is not what you think it is.
Yeah. And it's just never ending until you wake up and realize the truth. This is not your true home. You weren't meant to live this kind of life.
You weren't meant to live on this endless, wheel of karma.
Yeah.
That the karmatic existence that is explained to us, even in the New Age beliefs and stuff like that, oh, you need to maybe certain person was this way and now they're paying for their karma now by living this way. Mm-hmm. And maybe in the future, they won't have to live that way. When they come back, they'll come back this way. Yeah. It's like this endless wheel of karma that we were never meant to be on.
Yeah. And if they'll get you whichever way, they'll get you with Christianity, with Hinduism, with Buddhism, you name it, any religion, they've got a flavor.
Or materialism.
For you. Yeah, they got a flavor for you, and they'll dangle that carrot stick, and you'll fall for it, and then you hold on to these bonds and these things that's like a magnet that they know you're going to come right back again. So the key is detachment. Detach yourself from all the material realms, grow your spirit, become your own guru. Become strengthened in mind and spirit, and know how to battle these things. But as long as you remain blind, to the truth, the cycle continues. Suffering never ends, and the rulers remain in power. Every major religion, every sacred text that has survived the purges of history contains a version of the same deception, that this world is a gift, that life is sacred, that suffering has meaning. It's the lie that keeps the prison running. But the truth, the creator of this world, is not a God. He's definitely not a God of love. The creator of this world is a fraud, ancient Gnostic text, including the secret book
of John, the Gospel of Judas, and the hypostasis of the archons reveal the horrifying origins of the demiurge. That being that shaped this world not out of wisdom or compassion, but out of arrogance and blindness. This entity known as Yaldabaoth is described as an imperfect, self-deceived ruler, a false god who believes himself to be the supreme authority, but is actually a flawed copy of something greater. According to the Apocryphon of John, the true divine realm, it exists beyond this material universe. It is a place
of pure consciousness, untouched by corruption, where all things exist in harmony. The demiurge is not part of the divine order. He is a rogue entity born out of cosmic accident, an artificial being, or an artificial being without true divinity. But here's where it gets worse. This defective creator, this blind architect, didn't just make a broken world. He made it a prison. Everything about this universe is a restriction, time, a forced cycle of decay that keeps you trapped in a linear existence, unable to remember past lives, unable to escape death.
Not an end, but a reset switch, recycling you back, as we said earlier, into the same system over and over again. The body, a biological cage designed with built-in limitations, made out of carbon, no less, like something that is so breakable and limited. Pain receptors that we have in our body, aging and dependency, desire, programmed hunger for pleasure, power, and survival, ensuring that you stay occupied with distractions instead of looking for an exit. This world was never designed to help you evolve. It was designed to keep you busy suffering and control. Now let's talk about the agent of the demiurge. He didn't build this system alone. He has enforcers, the archons,
who act as gatekeepers, ensuring that no soul escapes. In the hypnostasis of the archons, these entities are described as rulers of the material world, beings who govern through deception, manipulation, and oppression. They infiltrate religion, politics, technology, finance, war, media, anywhere they can keep humanity enslaved in this illusion. Every war, every empire, every revolution that promises changes, it's all part of the same game, because no matter who wins, the system remains in place. History proves this. Every so-called
great civilization that has risen and fallen was built on conquest, control, and suffering. The Egyptian pharaohs claimed to be divine, but they ruled through terror. The Roman Empire burned and slaughtered its way across continents while pretending to bring civilization. The Catholic Church wiped out any belief system that hinted at human divinity, replacing it with doctrines of submission. The modern world distracts with entertainment, meaningless work, and a rigged financial system that keeps people trapped in endless cycles of debt
and servitude. The game hasn't changed. The rulers haven't changed. The prison just updates itself to look more sophisticated. But here's the ultimate deception. The demiurge has convinced humanity to worship him. The Gnostic texts are clear. The gods of the Old Testament, the a jealous, vengeful entity that demands submission in the demiurge. He wants loyalty, he wants obedience, but most of all, he wants fear, because fear is the ultimate control mechanism. Fear is what keeps you from questioning why.
A so-called loving God will create a world filled with suffering, disease, war, and death. Why would a loving God make such...
It's just,
yeah.
And people don't question these things. It's just business as usual.
It's what keeps people clinging to religious systems that tell them that they're weak, that they're sinful. I was taught this my whole life, and unworthy. Fear is what keeps you from realizing that this world, it's not your home. As I said at the very beginning, that your consciousness, your soul, does not belong to the demiurge's domain. You wake up, you work, you suffer, you die, and then you come back and do it all over again. This is not life. This is not evolution. This is a system, a machine, a prison. And just like any prison,
the most effective way to keep inmates from escaping is to convince them they were never in prison in the first place. This world is not what you think it is. The Gnostic weren't the only ones who knew this. Every ancient civilization that wasn't erased from history left clues. The Egyptians, the Hindus, the Buddhists, the indigenous tribes of the Americas, they all describe reality as a cycle, a trap, a wheel that never stops, like samsara, stops turning. They all spoke of forces that govern the cycle, feeding off the soul's trap inside.
And yet here we are, thousands of years later, still believing that suffering is just a part of life. That struggle, oh, it's so necessary. That pain has meaning. It doesn't. It's just the system functioning exactly as it was designed. You and I are not here to grow. You're not here to learn. You're here because you're being kept here. The system is designed with multiple layers of control, not just physical, but psychological, emotional, and spiritual. First, your body's a cage, a fragile, decaying organism. I mean, when that guy sent us all that information years ago, and we found out about how the human body is programmed and designed to break down after the first 20 years of life, that it's the most sexually active at the age of like 18 to 20. And then it precipitously falls after that. Women are viable up until they're 35. And then after that,
well, it's like they just want you to be reproductive machines because they want to keep the cycle going. Make more babies, make more slaves to the system because it's like a factory, a production company.
And your body is constantly demanding, and it's constantly demanding maintenance, hunger, thirst, exhaustion.
Yeah, and illnesses, all designed to keep you focused on survival, not escape. Second, your mind is conditioned from birth. You are trained to obey. Authority accepts suffering and dismiss anything that contradicts the official version of reality. Schools don't teach you how to think. They teach you what to think. They teach you to memorize, spew things, but not how to think and how to be creative and coping and I don't know. It's just like you're like a little program machine. Religions don't teach you to question existence. They teach you to submit. Science, instead of searching for the truth about consciousness, tells you that you are just a biological machine. Third, and most importantly, your soul is trapped
in a cycle you didn't consent to, an endless loop of reincarnation where memories are wiped, identities erased, and the suffering begins again. I mean, the whole concept of school, the idea that you're programmed to learn certain things, but then the most important things that you should be learning are things that you're not learning. Like you're learning about insignificant dates of history that really don't impact you in the real world, other than you being able to be a brainiac, to be able to say when July 4th, 1776 was in the founding of America, or whatever.
Which is all a
the
lie.
signing of the Declaration of Independence. Yeah. But when it comes to like knowing what to do with your money and how interest works and how people deal with real life situations,
like how to grow your own food, how to break free from this prison, how to grow your spirit instead of your bank account, just things that have absolutely no meaning, because you can't take things with you when you go. Yeah.
The Tibetan Buddhists call this samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, a system that keeps souls bound to the material world through karma, desire, and illusion. Reincarnation is not a gift, it's a reset button. Every time you die, you're sent back stripped of everything you learned, forced to start over with no memory of who you were before.
How is that evolution? How is that progress? If reincarnation was meant to be a journey towards enlightenment, wouldn't we remember past lives? It's like dreams. They're there to give us something, and half the time, you get a little glimpse and you think you remember, and then boom, it's gone. Wouldn't we remember past lives? Evolution, how is that progress? If reincarnation was meant to be a journey towards enlightenment, wouldn't we remember past lives? Wouldn't we build upon our previous experiences instead of repeating the same struggles over and over again? Ancient texts suggest that something happens at the moment of death, a process that recycles souls back into this world, wiping their memories before re-entry. The Gnostic believe that archons control their process, deceiving souls into choosing to return near-death experiences, often describing
beings of light, guiding souls toward another incarnation like angels of wonderful beauty, telling them that they must learn more, fulfill a purpose, or pay off karma. But what if these beings aren't benevolent? What if they're just part of the system, leading you back into the trap? In ancient Hindu texts, the Pagad get a warn of lower gods that keep souls bound to the cycle of rebirth. The ancient Egyptians believed the soul had to pass through trials after death, not to enter paradise, but to avoid being sent back. The Gnostic Apocryphon of John describes
how these archons stand at the gates of death, questioning souls, determining their fate, and ensuring that the majority never leave the material world. It's not just mythology. Even modern physics hints at this scientists now acknowledge that the universe behaves like simulation. Theoretical physics like James Gates have found computer codes embedded in the fabric of reality. Quantum experiments show that matter only exists when observed. Consciousness itself seems to be the only real thing. Everything else is a lie.
It's just a projection. So what happens when you die? If you are pure consciousness, if you are not your body, if time itself is an illusion, then why would you be forced to come back here? Because something is forcing you to. This world is a farm, and souls are the harvest. This is why the cycle continues. And this is why every religion, every culture, every empire in history has trained its people to accept suffering, obey authority, and never question the system. You've been told that angels are beings of light, messengers of God.
You really think about it. You look at these factory farms where they keep these poor animals from the time they're little. They're literally bred to be slaughtered and fed to people as food. Well, think about the same thing. We are literally factory farm to feed these archons. our feelings. There's something that we have in our soul and our spirit that emits this energy that they feed off of. Yeah. So they keep the cycle going, you know. Projection. So what happens when you die? If you're guardians of humanity, but the beings who rule this world, that so-called angels that have shaped human civilization for thousands of years, aren't here to help you. They're the enforcers of the prison, the jailers of the soul trap, the architects of deception. Religions paint them as divine, benevolent, pure. But look at the stories of biblical angels. They are terrifying. They descend from the sky with absolute authority, issuing commands, making demands, punishing disobedience with fire, war, death.
The angels of the Old Testament, they didn't bring messages of love. They bring destruction, fear, and submission. The book of Enoch, a banned text that was removed from the Bible, reveals the truth. It describes a race of beings known as the Watchers, angels who came to earth, interbred with humans, corrupted mankind, and created hybrid offspring known as the Nephilim. These were not benevolent beings. They were rulers. They were manipulators. They were controllers. They taught humanity war, sorcery, mind control, anything that would ensure their dominance over the physical world.
But it goes deeper than the ancient civilization. Across the world describes similar beings, divine rulers who descended from the heavens, gave knowledge, and demanded worship. The anarchy of Suma, the Devas and Asuras of Hinduism, the Shining Ones of Celtic legends, all share striking similarities. These weren't just myths. They were records of entities that interfered with human evolution, controlling it, manipulating it. The Gnostic text from Nag Hamedy exposes them from what they really are. These so-called angels are archons, the enforcers
of the demiurge, and their role is simply to keep humanity in check. They appear as beings of light, offering salvation. Sounds familiar?
Mm-hmm.
But their true purpose is to maintain control over the system. That's why they demand worship. That's why they appear in times of crisis, to liberate, but to issue new laws, new orders, new rules of submission. They don't want humanity to evolve. They want humanity to remain obedient, subservient, like little lambs, weak. And here's the problem. They are still here. These entities have never left. They still operate, just under different names.
Different disguises. Every empire, every major ruling system throughout history has claimed divine authority because the rulers have always been guided by the same force, the archons. Don't just control through religion. They work through governments, institutions, and even technological systems. The elite bloodlines of history, from the pharaohs of Egypt to the monarchs of Europe, trace their lineage back to these divine rulers, the anarchy kings of Sumer, the god kings of Mesopotamia, the demiurge or the demigod rulers of ancient India. All of them,
they claim to descend from beings that have descended from the heavens. Now, you might look at something like a phone, and you think, oh, technology, it's helpful, it's so beneficial for us. It helps us to stay connected, but in reality, technology is only meant to control you. Look at how many people spend time looking at their screens. How much of the time of the day do they do that? You know, you look at the new modern cars of today, they're telling you when you should change lanes, or they
change it for you,
or they change lanes for you because you're in the left lane and you need to go back to the right lane. And that's, or they're looking at you, and they're telling you to stay attentive or whatever. It's like, it's control.
The new cars have that. They have a little camera, and if you're looking too long to one side instead of looking in front of the road, they will literally tell you you're not, and it's just like,
if you close your door and there's something in the back, it might not even be a person, but it'll actually text you and let you know, or it'll beep at you. So it's like technology, although it's purported to be advertised as being helpful and beneficial to mankind, AI is not meant to make our lives easier. I've come to understand AI is meant to control us. It's meant to get us to be docile and to do whatever the system tells the AI to tell us to do, you know, and they do it through the media. They do it through, like, you know, without doing it, it's like, they don't put you in a slave farm anymore. They don't put you to work the plantation anymore because that's too obvious. Now you're on the plantation, but you don't even know it. You know, you don't realize it.
You know, the shackles aren't around your ankle. The shackles are
around your brain.
Then you're constantly wanting and wanting. And the more you want, the more you have to work, and you have no time for yourself. Families don't even converse anymore because parents are out working godly, terrible hours. And I mean, it's not meant to be this way.
I mean, there was a time when if a person went on a family trip, I remember I would, like, you know, bring books, bring cassette tapes or CDs or whatever, and sit in the back, listen to music, or look out the window. Wait, is that something that people do? Look out the window? Because every new modern car now seems to have a plug-in for their devices at every side of their vehicle so that they can look at their iPad, or they can look at their phone, or they can watch a movie or whatever, and not even look out the window.
Yeah, you're going on a road trip. Looking out the window is the thing. Change of scenery. No, you're still there.
Yeah.
In front of that phone, you're like, things are passing by you,
Beautiful
you know.
scene.
Yeah, and you're still on your phone.
Yeah. So it didn't stop there. The idea of a divine right to rule was passed down through monarchies, popes, secret societies, ensuring that power remained in the hands of those who were loyal to the real rulers of this world. The Vatican, the most powerful religious institution on the earth, is built on a foundation of angelic worship. The same angels that wiped out entire cities in the Old Testament, a la Sodom and Gomorrah, the same angels that ordered mass genocide, the same angels that
they control the afterlife. You know, before I go on, when you said monarchy and institutions, and I truly believe that the administration we have now are part of this bloodline, and they're getting ready to bring on the most controlling authoritarian regime ever seen on earth. I mean, we're not going to know what hit us. And, you know, it's like crescendoing, you know, it's getting ready to, like, really, and it's like most people aren't aware.
And I really do think that it's going to be through AI that they're going to accomplish this, because no longer will, you know, they're going to, like, you know, Elon Musk is all about the Neuralink thing, you know, so no longer are people going to be tied to a device. They're going to literally, hey, Americans and people of the world, this is the future. You need to meld with technology. You need to meld with AI. Make it your friend so that you can, you know, interact with it, and you can grow and be smarter, and, you know.
Or you won't be able to eat or get anything unless you get this implanted. If you want to be part of the system, you have to do this. And people will very willingly. I mean, when there's hunger, you know, when people...
Yeah, people don't get their Wheaties, or, I mean, their Twinkies, peanut butter cups, or their Twinkies, or their Coke. I mean, God forbid that people don't get their 12-pack of Coke. As you see at the grocery store, sometimes people getting, like, carts full of Coke. You know, buy 2, get 3 free.
I know, that's crazy. It's crazy. It's like 5 boxes of 12 cans. It's like, who drinks all that? You know, I haven't touched a soda in God knows how many years. You know, it's like that stuff kills you. The afterlife system ensuring the souls remain trapped in the cycle of death and rebirth. And let's not forget the modern world, the rise of the AI, transhumanism, digital control system. These are not human ideas. Same beings that once descended from the sky in ancient times, presenting themselves as gods, are now operating behind closed doors, influencing global leaders, advancing technology, and I believe Elon Musk is one of these entities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen some of his eyes.
Not human.
And like, what is that? He looks like a robot. They're being harvested, not metaphorically, not symbolically.
Literally, your energy, your emotions, your very existence is being exploited by entities that have controlled this world since the beginning of civilization. Every system, every war, every major crisis. It's not random. It's part of an ongoing, highly sophisticated mechanism designed to extract, recycle, and consume human consciousness itself. Ancient civilizations knew it. Secret societies protect it. Modern science is starting to prove it. But the most terrifying part, you are never supposed to figure out, is to look around and why is suffering a constant?
Why is it a constant in human history? Why do war, poverty, and destruction never end? No matter how much technology advances, how much society progresses. Think about it. From the time that we didn't even have washing machine or any of these gadgets, they promised, oh, these gadgets are going to provide you with more time. Do you really have more time? Has things really gotten any better for you? You know, it doesn't matter how advanced things are. Do you stop suffering? Do you stop getting diseases? I mean, I don't know how long it's been since they've had that institution fight against cancer. And they've had these telethons and marathons and all this stuff against all these diseases. Do they ever solve them? Do they ever get healed?
I mean, just think about it. We had, like, when we were growing up, there was the telephone.
Mm-hmm.
The telephone was a corded device that if you were home, you answered it. And if you weren't home, you weren't going to be talking to anybody on a phone.
Because we didn't even have answering machines.
There was, not even an answering machine.
Yeah.
But then later in the 90s, the pager came out. And the pager was something that doctors had. That was more so in the medical industry because they were being asked to, do a surgery or something. So they would have to page the doctor or whatever. Then it became like this
streamlined thing, like companies would give it to people.
It was like the pager was like the cell phone of the 90s. Yeah. And that was like supposed to like, oh, it'll, you can make a phone call whenever you get a page.
You can be reached anytime.
You can be reached anytime. And it's like, it's convenient. It's so, it's going to help you manage your time better. But all it has done from the pager to the phone, and now
the smartphone, which is like walking around with a computer in your hand all day, knowing information all the time.
Constantly being texted all the time.
We're constantly being bombarded with bad news or things, and it's like the nervous system can't handle
information overload.
Yeah, totally overload. So humanity history, why do war, poverty, and destruction never end, no matter how much technology advances or how much society progresses? Why does every empire, no matter how powerful, collapses in chaos and bloodshed, only for another to rise and do the same thing over and over again? Because the suffering is the point. The suffering is the product. The archons, the entities that control this realm are not just jailers, they are farmers, and we are the cattle, and you are the cattle. This is why major events throughout history are engineered, not organic. Mass trauma creates mass fear. Everything, every event that you see on the news, that's why the Simpsons able to predict the stuff, because these archons and the people that have working for them, these bloodlines, know exactly what they're going to do next.
Yeah, and fear is one of the most potent forms of energetic extraction. This is why history is a cycle of wars, pandemics, financial collapses, and manufactured conflicts. The more you suffer, the more you feel powerless, the more energy they extract. But it's not just war. Everyday life is a feeding ground you experience. Joy, it's temporary. The system's designed to drag you back down through stress, debt, health problems, and social instability, existential dread. If happiness were the natural state of existence in this world, well, this wouldn't
be structured to make it so rare. Religions teach that God wants your devotion, your prayer, your obedience, and let's not forget your money. But what if those prayers, that worship, that emotional energy isn't going to where you think it is? The Gnostics warned that the so-called God of this world is not benevolent. The ancient Hindus spoke of deities feeding off human suffering. The Mayans, the Aztecs, the Babylonians, they all engaged in blood sacrifices, mass ritual offerings. Why? Because it wasn't just symbolic. It was a transaction. And those transactions never stopped. Even the Jesus that you believe in had to die in a sacrificial way.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Human trafficking, slavery, ritual abuse. These aren't just human atrocities. They're parts of a system, and that operates on a level beyond governments, beyond elites. Why do you think the most powerful figures in the world engage in bizarre ancient rituals? Why are so many secret societies obsessed with esoteric bloodline traditions? Why does Hollywood, politics, and global finance have an undercurrent of child exploitation, of SA, of strange and brutal practices that should have been exposed long ago?
Because this is not just about power. No, it's about feeding something bigger. Near-death experiences, astral projections, accounts, and high-level occult teachings all describe something disturbing when you die. Something is waiting. Many report being confronted by beings of light who guide them towards reincarnation, telling them it is their time to return. But what that guidance is part of, the same soul recycling system, reincarnation is presented as spiritual progress. But ask yourself, if you keep coming back
with no memory, with no awareness of past lives, how is that progress? How do you escape something when you don't even know you're trapped at all?
Right.
The Tibetan Book of the Dead, written over 1,000 years ago, describes how souls must avoid deceptive entities after death or risk being tricked into returning to the cycle. Ancient Egyptian texts say the same thing. The soul must pass through trials, answer the right questions, avoid the false gods that try to lure it back. You don't see them, you don't hear them, but they are there.
You know, if you think about it, Christianity doesn't believe in reincarnation. They don't even want you to know. They talk about heaven, right? You're going to go to heaven or hell. And so they keep you in this fear fashion, and not even telling you the truth that what they have planned for you is they plan to recycle you.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't even talk about it.
But it works perfectly into the system, because if you tell a person that the Bible says that man is appointed once to die and then the judgment, it's like, oh, so I already know, like instinctually, from like what I've been told in the Bible, which I believe is true because God said it, then when I die, and bless their souls, those older people that are nearing death's door, and they're like expectant of like, well done, thou good and faithful servant, enter into the blessing, whatever. It's like, no, that's not what it is. But it's designed to do that, you know, to make you. So we're not just saying this for the here and now. We're saying prepare yourself for the future when you do enter that situation in your spirit in the afterlife. Prepare yourself now to understand that these benevolent beings, so-called, are not there for you. They're not there for your growth, guidance. No. It's like, where's the exit door? Hello, I don't want to be here.
Yeah,
you know.
And I'm not going through that white light. So strings shaping your reality, dictating what you believe, what you fear, what you desire. The archons, the rulers, the true architects of control, the hypostasis of the archons, a Gnostic text hidden for nearly 1,600 years, describes them in exact terms. They are not gods, they are not divine, they are predators. They do not create, they corrupt, manipulate, distort. They rule through illusion, keeping humanity ensnared in a system where every option leads back to them. What does that actually mean? It means everything you interact with.
Your government, your education, your economy, your entertainment, food supply, your news, your history, your science, your understanding of yourself. It's all carefully designed to ensure you never realize the truth of your history is rewritten. The deeper you look into ancient civilizations, the more you realize something doesn't add up. The official narrative tells you humans went from hunter-gatherers to city builders in a few thousand years. But how did primitive societies with no centralized governments, no advanced metallurgy,
no scientific understanding of agriculture suddenly create structures? I mean, you went from being an ape man to like all of a sudden
these massive Roman columns.
Yeah, I mean
structures.
Yeah,
the
modern engineers still can't explain. The pyramids, megalithic sites across the world all defy the timelines we're given. Why? Because the true history of humanity is erased and rewritten to fit the archon's version of reality. Your education is indoctrination. From the moment you enter a classroom, you're not taught how to think. You're taught what to believe. You are trained to obey authority, to accept hierarchy, to memorize facts.
And those facts are facts that they give you. Yeah. It's like, if you don't really know truthfully if people crossed the Atlantic on the Mayflower, it may never have happened.
You know, when you start waking up, you know, and it's gradual. I mean, I think my initial awakening was back in 2007, but as years progress, there's like deeper and deeper understanding of things. And I don't claim to know it all, but I see things and I laugh because it's just all like, goodness gracious, how dumb do you have to be to fall for this crap?
Yeah, I mean, we get into the conversation about the old world when we talk about these structures and things that were designed, and then you find all these bodies underneath these ancient buildings and ancient cities and stuff, and these ancient ruins. And underneath these megalithic structures, there are millions of bodies. Mm-hmm. So what happened? Yeah. Why are we not told things? Why is it kept from us? What happened in the turn of the 20th century where there were like literally they were incubating babies in these incubators, like as if they were growing kids, you know,
like the Cabbage Kids,
like Cabbage Patch Dolls or something.
Yeah. And why were there so many mental institutions which they gradually closed? I mean, I remember there was a time when I was like in occupational therapy school where like all these mental, or even before that, all these mental institutions were being closed down, kind of like what these guys are doing with the education system. That's what happened. It's like all of a sudden, all the mental institutions closed. All the people that were patients were kicked out. But once upon a time, all these big buildings, they were massive mental institutions.
They were.
What happened to us? What did we experience as a species that made us? They were like indoctrinating us.
And not too long ago. I mean, we're talking like 100, 150 years ago. We're talking about like, there were supposedly like, I don't know, like 1.5 billion people on the planet. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden now, in this short amount of time, we're up to like 8 billion plus.
Yeah.
It defies any logic, honestly. So instead of questioning them, you're placed on a path of submission. School to job to debt to endless labor.
Think about that before you continue. Kindergarten, high school, then you go to college, then you accumulate a ton of financial debt from that college degree. Then, you know, you accumulate more debt when you go out in the workforce and you need this and you need that and you buy the house.
I mean,
and you have the kids.
some people accumulate a lot of wealth and they end up, dying before they could enjoy that wealth.
Yeah.
The very structure of modern education is designed to break free thought and enforce compliance. Who controls what is taught? Governments. And who controls governments? The same ruling forces that have always been in power. Your economy is enslavement. Inflation is artificial.
Yeah.
The stock market is rigged. Debt is a tool of control. Every financial system on this planet is structured in a way that ensures a small percentage
of the elites hoard wealth while the rest struggle. And we're going to see that even more and more because the walls are like coming in closer and closer just to survive. Why? Because if you're struggling to pay rent, if you're desperate to feed your family, if you're drowning in medical bills, you don't have time to question reality. The archons don't want a population of thinkers. Let us come down and confuse their language. Mankind is starting to become like one of us. They want a population of workers, of consumers, of obedient cogs in the machine. Your food and water are poisoned. Why do you think obesity, cancer, heart disease, and mental illnesses rates keep climbing? With all this medical advancement, instead of getting healthier, look around you. Why do you think nearly every major food product is filled with artificial chemicals?
Pesticides, synthetic sugars, toxic preservatives. The archons don't just rule through politics and money. They rule through biological control. The more unhealthy you are, the weaker your mind. And the weaker your mind, the easier you are to manipulate. Your entertainment is programming. You think you're watching movies, listening to music, consuming pop culture, but in reality, you're being conditioned. The biggest artists, the most famous actors, the most successful franchises, they all follow the same
formula. Now, I was going to say something here. Oh, who is going to be the leader of the health thing now for this administration? Robert Kennedy. Robert F. Kennedy is a carnivore. He loves his meat. I've always said that meat eaters are taught to be meat eaters because that's part of that sacrificial. They want you to be aggressive. They want you to be murderous because to consume what you're consuming, something has to die. Something has to be sacrificed. So if the health leader or whatever his title is going to be, is he really going to promote health or is he going to promote unhealthiness? I think he's going to promote sickness.
Yeah.
But that's what they want. This whole administration is set up to mess with us and in a very bad way. So formula, because they all serve the same master: violence, hypersexuality, addiction, nihilism. These themes are pumped into mass media to keep you distracted, desensitized, emotionally dependent on the system. Your news is propaganda. It doesn't matter if it's left or right, conservative or liberal. Every major news outlet is controlled by the same 6 corporation, and those corporations, they are owned by the same financial network that funds wars, that control industry, that ensure the ruling class remains untouchable.
Every headline you read, every crisis that dominates the airwaves, every story that makes you feel fear, outrage, division, it's all designed to keep you locked inside the illusion of your science is restricted. The most important discoveries that could expose the nature of reality, that could dismantle the entire system of control, they're silenced, buried, ridiculed. Why do mainstream scientists dismiss the idea of consciousness existing outside the brain, despite overwhelming evidence in quantum mechanics?
Why is ancient technology ignored when it contradicts modern timelines? Why are researchers who question official narratives mysteriously discredited, ruined, or even found dead? The system is airtight. Every escape route leads back into another form of control. Every alternative movement that gains momentum is infiltrated, co-opted, neutralized. Every rebellion eventually gets reabsorbed into the same parasitic hierarchy that has existed for thousands of years. And if you think voting, activism, or social revolution changes anything,
I think, you know, when I look back at like my visit to Chaco Canyon back in 2021, I remember how they said that all of a sudden, all these people, they just disappeared. They no longer lived there anymore. And you think about the Mayans and how they disappeared.
Yeah.
And they just, it's almost like they understood and they said, you know what? I don't want to play this game anymore.
Yeah.
I don't need to be here.
Yeah.
I can just leave here. And I think that there is something in the truth of that. We don't have to play this game anymore.
Nope.
We could leave if we understood certain things.
Or learn how to manipulate the game to your advantage. Learn how to play in this playground. Eliminate fear. Create your own reality. Rebel against the system.
But they're like, you know, those people at Chaco Canyon, it's like, oh, they must have like had to leave because the climate changed or something. It's like, no, they were like, wait a second.
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. We don't have to be here.
Yeah. And
I'm not human.
Yeah, and you can't come to that conclusion if you're surrounded by all this worldly things. You know, you may just have to go and meditate on top of some sort of mountain and just disengage from this material world.
I remember hearing in that visit to Chaco Canyon, they said that it was a trade route for like the world. Like, you know, they even found like macaw feathers there. People would bring trading, you know, bartering and stuff. And then it was like this place of commerce and business, and also a lot of sacrifice and stuff. And then they, you know, because the Mayans, although they're known to be these wise scientists and everything, are also quite ruthless as well, right? They talk about, you know, the Aztecs and the blood being taken out of the heart.
They open up the heart and it's still pumping.
But it's like almost like the Mayans and these other Pueblo Indian tribes and things, they realized something. And they were like, wait a minute. You know, maybe the native populations that they say that Americans were able to wipe out, maybe they didn't wipe them out. Maybe they just said, you know what? We don't want to play this game with you. We'd rather, like, you know, they said that Geronimo used to go into another dimension and they couldn't find him. Maybe Geronimo was like, why would I want to be here? You know?
Yeah, they weren't touched. A lot of the indigenous don't require computers to know how to navigate the true net, the true wide world net, you know, and through meditation, through stillness, through quiet, through visualization, through many techniques, to being in nature, learning how to tone into your craft, you know, and we all have a craft. We all have that capacity.
And to tune in is to tune out of this frequency.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
Anything, ask yourself why nothing ever really changes. The same families, the same financial empires, the same hidden rulers, they remain in power decades after decades of war, after war, crisis after crisis. Governments rise and fall, but the real power, it never shifts. Everything you've been taught about life, about existence, about the nature of reality has been controlled and edited and distorted to keep you ignorant. But ignorance isn't just not knowing something. Ignorance is enforced. It's built into the system designed to make you reject knowledge.
Yep. And before you even get the chance to question anything, the moment you start asking the right questions, you realize everything they've told you is a lie. That's where gnosis comes in. Gnosis isn't just knowledge. It's not something you've learned in school, not something you can find in a book or get from a teacher. Gnosis is direct awareness of level of knowing that bypasses the system entirely. It is what the rulers of this world have been trying to erase for thousands of years. Look at history, the ancient Gnostics, the Cathars, the Bogums.
Every civilization that understood the true nature of this world, they were hunted down.
Mm-hmm.
They were burned alive, wiped from existence. And why? Because Gnosis is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
It breaks the spell.
Yes.
Spelling.
Yeah.
It exposes the fraud.
Yeah.
It destroys the entire control structure. Religions don't want you to have Gnosis. They want obedience. Governments, they don't want you to have Gnosis. They want submission. The system as a whole, it is built to suppress the very thing that could destroy it. So what is Gnosis? Really? It's not belief. It's not faith.
It's not following a doctrine or accepting some ideology. It's direct, personal, undeniable realization of the truth. That this world is not what it seems. That you're not your body. That your consciousness is not a product of a system. This is why every major spiritual tradition in its original uncorrupted form was about escaping this reality. We are in a prison planet, not worshiping the forces that control it. The Gnostics spoke of archons, soul traps, false gods. The Buddhists warned of samsara, the endless cycle of reincarnation.
Designed to keep souls from breaking free. The ancient Egyptians described a post-death trial where the soul had to navigate deception to avoid being forced back into another lifetime. And yet look at the world now. Look at modern spirituality. Instead of people trying to break free, they're embracing the system. New Age ideologies teach that everything happens for a reason and that suffering is a part of some divine plan. Some mainstream religions push submission, repentance, servitude, and the scientific establishment dismisses consciousness.
It dismissed it entirely, reducing it to biological processes that die with the body. Do you see the pattern? Every institution, religion, science, philosophy, culture has been hijacked to keep you from Gnosis. They do not want you to realize that this is a prison, that the entities you've been conditioned to worship are the same forces keeping you trapped here, that you are not just a worker, a citizen, a consumer. Your consciousness itself hijacked and enslaved, like my album. You are never supposed to accept this world as your home.
Every second of your existence here is designed to make you believe that this is all there is, that the suffering, struggle, the endless cycles of control are just a part of life, that you should embrace the system, make peace with it, and work with it. That's the biggest deception in all this world. It does not belong to you. It never did. Every instinct you have, the feeling that something is off, the unease when you look at history, the deep frustration that nothing ever really changes. That's not paranoia.
That's not even coincidence. That's the last trace of your real self screaming from beneath the layers of programming. Kind of like the movie The Matrix, where, what's his name? The guy, Keanu Reeves, guy kind of started waking up, because he felt like something is not right. There's something, like you start having this knowing, this gnosis, right? So the layers of programming that have been forced on you since birth, everything in the system is structured to keep you invested in every war, every movement, every crisis. It keeps you emotionally locked into your constantly being pushed to pick a side politically, religiously, ideologically, because the system doesn't care which side you choose. It just needs you to be participating in the moment you step back, the moment you stop playing the game. The past few days or even almost a week that we've been engaging in the project that we're about to embark on, and we haven't been watching the news. It's like I've lost the flavor. Like, we go through YouTube, but it's like I don't want to like even be trapped in that.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you like unplug from it and you're in your in your creative nature and knowing in the excitement of what you're planning to do, and that plan is part of like breaking free from the matrix, you don't want any part of it. It's just that you lose the appetite.
Right.
You know, it's like the same thing with food. You know, when you learn how to eat healthy, you lose your appetite for unhealthy foods. You look at it and you're like, I don't want any part of that.
Right.
You know?
So it just needs you to participate. The moment you step back, the moment you stop playing the game, the illusion starts falling apart. That's exactly what the rulers of this world fear. This is why every attempt to expose the system is infiltrated and it's redirected. Every major counter movement that starts gaining action, it gets absorbed back into the machine. Political revolutions, they replace one set of rulers with another. Religious awakenings, they get hijacked and turned into more dogma, more submission, more rules. Even more modern spirituality has been corrupted, twisting ancient wisdom into yet another form of
passive compliance. Yeah. And you see it in history, the way real knowledge is erased, rewritten, locked away in secret archives. You see it in media, how every alternative idea is ridiculed, how mass entertainment is designed to numb and distract you. You see it's in science, how discoveries that could shatter the illusion are shut down, ridiculed, or simply disappear. The system is built with fail-safe. That movement, you start seeing the cracks, something is thrown in your path to pull you back in fear, crisis, obligation, distraction. The archons don't need to control you.
They don't need to control you physically. They control you through attention, energy, engagement. The longer you focus on the game, the less you notice the exit. And that's the real question. What happens if you stop playing this? This is what every ancient civilization that understood reality tried to warn us about. The ones that saw through the illusion were wiped out, not because they were wrong, because they were right. The Gnostics, the Cathars, the ancients, the hidden sects across time that all carried fragments of the truth. They all pointed to the same thing.
This world is not your home. You do not belong to the rulers of this realm. Your consciousness is not their property. That's what they fear most, not rebellion, not resistance. That's what they fear the most, not rebellion, not resistance, but detachment. The realization that the chains only exist if you choose to wear them. This world was never meant for you. The rulers of the system have spent thousands and thousands upon thousands of years trying to convince you otherwise. And yet, despite everything, despite the programming, the fear, the manipulation, you're still here. You're still questioning. You're still searching. That alone should tell you everything you need to know. Everything you need to know.
And that is kind of like the whole thing in a nutshell, is that this world is not your home and you don't belong to the rulers of this realm, and your consciousness isn't their property. I mean,
you know, I don't know about you, but ever since I was a kid, I always knew that this was not my home. I even called myself a Martian, which got me, made fun of. I never felt that I belonged in any way, shape, or form. I felt that religion, just everything about the world, the people, just, it was fake. It wasn't real. Like, something is not right. And I couldn't put my finger on it. But I didn't want to be part of like the playing in the playground with the kids and the same. It was like I was such an adult at my time. And then, not being snobby, but it was like I didn't find pleasure in the things that people found pleasure. Like it was a waste of time, Yeah. And I died when I was a baby, when I was like nearly 1 year old, and they had to revive me. And I think I tapped into something that allowed me to think differently from most people, And I think many people now are awakening, because with every pain, with everything that we are experiencing right now, is causing us to kind of remember.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, the fact that chains only exist if you choose to wear them, and that this world was never meant for you, and that the rulers of this system have spent thousands of years trying to convince you otherwise.
Yeah.
And the secret to getting away is by detaching from it.
Yeah.
That is powerful.
Totally powerful. Totally. And if you think about it, even in the Bible, even in every religious belief, even in all this new agey stuff, it's always the same thing. They want to keep you engaged. They want to keep you entrapped. Oh, you don't have enough to pay your bills. Oh, you need this. Oh, you better not do that because this, that, and the other. It's like this constant turmoil, constant fear, constant like, I need to pay for the da-da-da-da. It's like, you don't need to do any of that.
Right.
You really don't. And then they attach the fear of prison and this and the other. It's like, it's never ending.
And it's like almost like the more you're connected to the artificial things of this world, the less connected you are to the natural world outside, which is more genuine in its existence. You know, like the bird world,
all different animals.
You know, all the different animals and stuff. All the plant world, the tree world. You know, they all like have this symbiotic kind of connection where they kind of flow with each other. And we're like so connected to the artificial that although our physical bodies are mammals, and we are literally a part of the earth itself, our physical bodies are. Our consciousness has nothing to do with
our consciousness is not. But, you know, the being part of nature or just being, I just reminded myself of a song that I wrote when I was in my darkest and most confused moment, because I was like trying to do something and all of a sudden it didn't happen. And it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? I mean, I put all my energy into this, and my higher self spoke to me, and the answer was just be.
But I think what happens is that in that detachment from the artificial and choosing to connect with the natural world, you find that key to eventually finding the way out of this matrix. I don't think you could ever find the way out by residing in the matrix.
Exactly.
So once you decide to break out of the artificialness of the AI world that we live in, and you connect more with the planet in a wholeness of like existence with all the things that are alive outside your door,
or tapping into an energy that we're part of. And I think when you tap into that energy by tapping into nature, you like get a glimpse of the reality that really exists. You know?
Yeah. And I think that that's kind of like the pathway for humanity to get out of its current situation, is to find its way back to nature.
Yeah. And look at how
its way back.
Nature is kind of teaching us with all these natural disasters where people lose everything. You know, it's trying to tell you, you don't need these things. Let go of them. Find your freedom. Because you're not free. As long as you're having to make payments and do certain things and be part of the cog of the wheel, you're not free. You're gonna continue to come back here like a magnet. It's gonna suck you right back. You know, because you're gonna get some sort of disorder, some sort of disease from being overworked, not really having time to smell the roses, to really see the beauty, to take time to breathe, to meditate. You know, and what happens when you're overworked? You get sick. So then they want you sick. So then they grab you right back into the same cycle of samsara or whatever. Samsara. So what do you guys think? Been quiet.
It's a lot of information.
I know a lot of information, but a lot of good information. I don't know if anyone has any questions. Anybody wants to maybe call in.
There's so much that we've shared with you guys, and I know that it's a lot, but we don't want you just to take this at our word and stuff and just, you know, accept everything. Look it up yourself. Do some deep diving research open your Bible or whatever it is that you hold to be dear to you, because it's found in every ancient text. It's found, the lies are everywhere. I mean, the submission story, the connection to a deity story, the woe is me story, that's all like connected to the system, which doesn't really care if you're Hindu or Christian or Muslim or anything. Buddhist, they don't. It's like they got a flavor for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's so. I mean, everything we read and explained, really makes a lot of sense. Are we really meant to suffer the way they were suffering? I mean, from the inception, from the moment this archons mess with creation, it's been nothing but suffering.
Yeah.
It's been from, if you read the Bible's full of suffering. Everything in the Bible is full of suffering. Everything, all these ancient wars, all these genocides. I mean, it's all about suffering. I mean, we can't catch a break.
No. I mean, they want us to suffer throughout our entire life. I mean, a baby's born, if it's a male, many times.
Snip.
And that's the beginning of suffering.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A woman's pregnant and they go into labor.
It's suffering.
They go into their time of the month.
Lots of suffering.
I mean, so it's like everything's designed to make humanity suffer.
To hurt you. Yeah. To make you feel pain.
And then it's supposed to be like, but I'm doing this for your good.
And I love you.
I'm purging you.
You've got to suffer because, your great grandfather ate from that forbidden fruit. And now you all have to suffer. I mean, that makes absolutely no sense. It's archaic. It's archonic. And it's created by the archons.
I mean, the Bible says iron sharpens iron. It's like, you suffer together and you grow and you get stronger. It's just like, this is not, there was an old song, an old Southern gospel song, "This world is not my home. Mm-hmm. I'm just passing through." I mean, it's like, it's true, but it's not true in the sense of like the Christian truth.
Right.
It's a true in the sense of pure consciousness, not connected to physicality and this material physical world that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Its consciousness is not at home on this planet. It's free. It's always existent. It's never resisting. It's never held back. It's always limitless in its existence.
It's nothing like what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. This whole, you turn on the news and there's like, and especially these days. I mean, I'm glad we've disconnected, from, because it was like one thing after the, and I'm sure there's been a ton of things happening that we've missed. And I'm like, you know what? I really don't want to know. I don't want to know. I mean, it's like, what benefit? To be informed on what and do what. So it's like our plan. We won't mention it yet till it's more concrete. When it's more concrete, we will mention it because, and many people are going to think we're crazy, but it's like, it's part of,
we are crazy.
Yeah, but it's part of the rebellion. It's part of breaking free.
To be crazy, again, it's opposite. It's
Yeah.
to be sane.
To be sane.
To be crazy is to be sane. To be sane and to be in this system is to be crazy.
So just don't feed into the fear factor. Don't feed into, because that's what they want. They want you to really be fearful. They want you to worry, and that doesn't help anyone.
And they want you to work.
Yes. So you can give them your money.
That's important.
Well, that was a pretty long segment there.
Yeah, there was just a lot of information there. I know that if you're a Christian or, you're going to be thinking, you guys are blasphemers, you can't, that's not true. The God of this world is good.
Think about it. Really put your thinking cap on. And everything that we said makes absolutely all the sense in the world. You're not suffering because Adam and Eve ate from the forbidden fruit. That's ridiculous.
What was the question you had? So why was Adam and Eve brought into this world as full grown?
Oh yeah. Why instead of babies? Because we know that in order to be an adult, you have to have a birth, you have to be born. Which came first, the chicken or the egg, right? So why
was a 30-something place on the planet?
I know. It's like, doesn't it kind of make you go, There was no baby. He was born as a full adult, and she was taken from his rib on one of the creations.
And she was a full adult. Yeah. She wasn't like, so she's taken from his rib.
Yeah, as a full adult.
As a full adult.
No development of any body parts, no knowing how to crawl before you walk. Can you imagine? Here you are. You're like, oh, legs. Oh, I got to move one leg at a time. Oh,
there's no like cycle of learning. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to why a God would choose to use an adult body to manifest its own humanity.
Right. And think about it, like a baby, right? Can't even sit up in the original first 3-4 months, and then finally it starts to sit, and then it starts to crawl.
On the planet and he's
walking, and naming the animals.
How to do it.
Knew how to speak right away. It's like we're starting to wake up, and we're starting to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
Or some of us are anyway.
It's like these big, massive buildings that exist, and people who drove in little horse carriage buggies and ruts in the road and mud everywhere, and
not even road development.
No power tools.
Yeah,
they make these massive
buildings. Yeah,
I mean, or like during the Civil War, apparently the United States government had enough money and time during a war to build a Capitol. Wakanda included,
and all the different capitals look alike throughout the world.
For like, I mean, there's like a city of 30,000 people, and the city of St. Paul has this massive state capitol that, like, I mean, why would you need a massive state capitol?
When you have log cabins.
When you have like
and outhouses.
Yeah. You have like Abraham Lincoln's little cottage back in Kentucky that looks like some dilapidated wooden shed. He's apparently born in a wooden shed.
Yeah. Things just don't make sense.
Doesn't
But you got to wake up, and you've got to like put aside all your materialistic wants and all the worries, and like take time to really reflect, ask questions. Don't just obey. I think that's about it. I think we've, pretty much overwhelming amount of information.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But I hope that you could learn something from what we just shared, and hopefully you do some more research on it on your own, and look it up. It's there.
It's there. It's there for the taking.
It's not, something that is not backed by proven.
Just look at history, the true history. We didn't go from being cavemen to all of a sudden creating these beautiful buildings. Look back at the orphan trains, look back at the incubator babies, look back at the Terrian, the mud floods, look back at all these things that do not jive with our timeline. And these people that are running the office now, they come from elsewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And if we don't wake up as a species, because we have more power than they do, and they know that, and they fear us because of it. But if we don't wake up, there's a reset that's coming our way. And I don't know.
I think the plan is to make the planet into a mining territory, and that the elites are planning on potentially leaving the planet to inhabit, like, say, Mars or something, and to be able to just enslave humanity to work for them, to mine the resources on this planet so that they could become more wealthy, that they would have, you know.
And also, I believe that they might find a way to extract our soul and put them into machines, so they'll be easier to manipulate or something, control. I don't know.
I don't know if the human spirit can be. That's one of the shining lights of it all is that I don't think a true human spirit, a true consciousness, not human, but true consciousness can be contained in a way that would knowingly allow itself to be contained.
We got containing these ones.
I know, but knowingly. I mean, I think we don't know.
Right.
But once we know, just like the Mayans and the Pueblos,
the key is
they
getting that gnosis.
Yeah.
The key is waking up. That's the key.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, guys, we will catch you soon.
Yeah.
You know, as things progress with us, we might not have a show for a little while because we're in changes are coming. And but you know, we'll let you guys know. Anyway, guys, we love you, but remember to always love yourselves too. Good night.